There's a long trend line from all the way back in November. And that is still there, and we're still above it. And I want to kind of go over also what a parabolic move is. Also, on the portal, I just uploaded to the Forex Lens guys. I put up a setup video, so that'll be on there shortly here, where you can see how I set up my charts. I'll show you the oscillators that I use, where to find them in the indicator section, and how to use that square tool that you just saw, the one with the arcs. So let me clean all this up here. So really, a parabolic move is like a it's like an advance. It's an uptrend in which the angle increases as it moves up. Okay, so let's look at that for a second. We can actually use an angle. We should go back. Oh, let's see where. Oh, that's just fine. All right, so we've got. Let's just say that this is our trend angle here. Dang it, that's frustrating. Turn up the magnet. So we've got this move, all right, at 20 degrees. And then we've got this move at 32. And then we've got, and those are not honest angle measurements, by the way. And then we've got this guy at 82, roughly. That angle is going to maybe change as I move it here. 79. Okay. Now, whether those are honest, I mean, you're going to see how they don't stick here very well. I don't know what's up with this angle tool in TradingView, but it moves a lot. So it's a 70. Where we put it before, it was a 79, a 32, and a 20. So this is really, you know, a parabolic move. You know, the easiest way is see how it moves its trend lines increasingly up. All right. So if it has more than one uptrend support level, then what we're saying is that move is parabolic. They always pretty much lead to some type of elevated volatility, and they are almost always met by equal violent corrections. That's usually in the same manner that it went up. So we need to be careful, but we can have a long bias with this, with the euro now, thankfully, finally. But we're not going to want to get in here long now until we get down a little bit, because could this guy move up more? Sure. Yeah, we could go up higher. Parabolic moves are very violent swings to the north. We went above this longer term trend line, but we have the new moon phase coming up. It's a new moon that is coming up. The phase is new, but it is also a new moon that is happening on the 16th, which means that when something is at or near market high, that prices have a high probability of coming down. Well, we are at really, really massive market highs. We've got a lot of bullish indications here on the euro, and you know, the euro pair kind of sets us up for a lot of how everything else is going to trade. Where am I at here? Oh yeah. All right. So we can just look at the price action from Friday, because we're only looking at you know, 12th through the 15th. Okay. but we had just big pushes through. Didn't even get any resistance here. Didn't get any resistance there. We just blew through this one overnight. Um, like early 2 in the morning when the London opened. But we are kind of floating around up here. We don't have a lot of participation at these ranges. We're near a new moon, so we have some bearish sentiment up here. But overall we can have a fairly bearish bias. And I've said before that I'm not a huge fan of what am I saying? I'm not a huge fan of Fibonacci's on anything less than a week. But if we were to put up a weekly, let's do a weekly Fibonacci here. And I better hide this one as well. And you don't need to know that. But let's go from the most recent swing low to where we are now. I started a little early because we got a lot to go over with this kind of move. So if I'm looking at the weekly, and go away. And if we prescribe to Gann's theory that things like to retrace, like 50% of their movement, or even go as far as back finding support down here, then we are looking at put on the hourly. We are looking at a fairly significant move down, which would be very healthy and great for us to go back long. And the reason I have zero re-entries around here. I mean, in fact, if this stays at these elevated levels, we may have to wait up to a few weeks before we get a safe long entry. So I want you to look at these oscillators. Let's look at the 8-hour. On the 8-hour chart for the euro, I want you to just take a peek at these levels in our oscillators. And let's bring it down a little bit. I want to kind of get like an even idea here. So on the 8-hour chart, we have key divergence area right here. Although we've had divergence repeatedly in this pair. There's a lot of other fundamental reasons why this is moving up here too. I mean, global growth is going to really pump up. Yeah, so for folks who kind of have this viewpoint that if you're a U.S. trader and you're new to Forex trading, or you just wonder about this, you may often wonder, well, if the economy is doing so great, why are the dollar pairs doing so poor? Well, because if let's say you're an investor and you have a boatload of money, you're going to want to put it where it's going to have the most growth, right? And so generally where you're going to get the most return on your investment. So generally where that happens is it's going to be in the place with the most risk, and that is going to be emerging economies. That's going to be places generally outside the U.S. Europe really doesn't kind of fall into that risk category. I think it does, but it may not. But you're not going to have as much risky big growth here compared to an emerging market, which I can't think of one off the top of my head. But the other thing is that it is kind of bullish for the U.S. economy, but not for the dollar, because if everybody's currency is gaining more value against the dollar, that means they have more money to buy stuff in the United States. They have more stuff to buy stuff from Canada. Canada and the U.S. were like right there together. We have like the most connected ties economically together. are like brothers from other mothers. I know I'm putting Canada in my conversation here about this, but I mean it affects them as well. So when there's more valuable currency somewhere else that's more expensive than your own, it's cheaper for people to buy stuff from you. So really, that is one of the reasons why your currency goes down, like the U.S. dollar. That's why it's going down. Just not a lot of risk